I will be discussing on the Webroot endpoint security protection. All right, and then if you have any questions during this webinar session, feel free to type the questions right below at the chat box or the Zoom chat box. All right. So today agenda, what I'll go through is the presentation of the Webroot solution, then followed on by a demo, and then what we will do is a Q&A session if you have any questions that based on the things that you're typed below. All right, we are expecting this to end by 11:45. All right, so without further ado, let me just share my screen. Okay, right. So today's topic is on the Webroot business endpoint protection solution. All right, and just to give you a bit of background of our company here. Let me just next slide. Yeah, our company is started year 2000. All right, we are the leading provider for IT system management automation, and currently we have presence in 3 countries. And we are the distributor for Kaseya as well as Webroot in Malaysia. All right. So just to share with you a background on Webroot itself, here are some facts on Webroot. All right. As you can see, we are Webroot is actually a proven, effective solution choice for MSPs and also in the SMB space, small medium business enterprise space. Right. With currently more than 385,000 protected business user, and currently is also #1 in North America retail consumer retail market. So let's look at the landscape out there right now, the threats that we have. Right, I think SME space has been attacked like never before. 95% of the malware is unique to a single PC. I repeat again, 95% of the malware is unique to a single PC. So which means there's a lot of attacks on individual machines, as we can see, right? And you can see here from some of the statistics, right? 71% of cyber attacks are now targeting towards SMB space, right? And some of the figures, as you can see over here, all right? Now, in terms of the threat landscape, you can see as well in daily, you see the figures here, it's actually quite alarming, right? Experts, I think right now, if you heard the news and also experts going around, they're saying that during this MCO period, the cyber attacks are expected to increase further more, all right? And ransomware, I think most of us know ransomware has been there for quite a while, right? But it looks like it's still increasing, right? It's increased from first quarter of 2018 to first quarter of 2019, there were an increase of 105%. And at the same time, the amount paid per incident went up by 95%. That's nearly 4 times the figure. Right? To just share with you, this is the map of the rate of infection on PCs across the globe. As you can see, Asia rates the second highest after Middle East. All right, and we are in Asia, so that's something we need to take note about. Okay, so how Webroot tackle this issue? So as you can see here, this is actually what we call a Webroot cloud platform, right? And the name is actually called Webroot Bright Cloud Threat Intelligence, right? So all the Webroot solution actually relies on this platform. And from here, how it works is that it can generate threat intelligence to protect customers and also over 90 other network and security vendor who integrates their solutions. All right. So meaning this is not just used by our normal users, end users, but it's also used by network and security vendors as well. All right. And just to give you an idea how it works is that it gathers threats from over 67 million connected sensors, and basically with all these sensors, if you can see from here, 16 million is actually from consumer and business endpoints, and another 50 million is actually from security vendors. All right. So with this, we also have a strong machine learning capability in the cloud that we are able to perform protection again for the endpoint in real time. All right. So how powerful is this? All right. So in the machine learning training of a single Webroot model utilizes over 10 million data points or feature. So how we handle this is actually we leverage on AWS in California with typically up to 1 terabyte of RAM and about 40 to 50 parallel nodes, right? So this is very powerful. Because of this, what we can do is we can analyze in a massive scale, all right? And then from here, you can see things we can analyze, and then you can see all these various statistics here, all right? 37 billion over URLs, 842 million domains, and so on, right? And not only that, remember I mentioned earlier on the 90 leading network and security providers. Yeah, these are some of the example, some of the well-known providers you see out there. They are using Kaseya Cloud's Yep. Okay. So let me just give you an idea what people usually look for, or why people went to Webroot in globally, and especially like in North America as well, right? So firstly, I would like to share with you, it's actually require low disk space, and it does not require any download of virus definition, right? So this is a new way, a new approach on that. Because of this, the installation is quick and scanning speeds are within minutes. All right, we are talking about within minutes. The third one is actually multi-vector threat protection. And the fourth one is actually a fully cloud-based solution. You don't need any server infrastructure, especially in this period, you won't be able to have a chance to go to the customer's office to set up a server and so on, right? So you can use this solution, cloud-based, just install the agents on all the machines that is on, right? So you can use this. Now, I want to share a few of the features within the Webroot business endpoint protection solution, right? One of it is actually the predictive protection, right? Over here, you can see in how a typical scenario it works is that a new file comes into the machine, the endpoints, and then what it does is that the Webroot agent will actually take the file hash and check with the Webroot database. So once it's checked the database, if it's a known one, is a clean one, right? So what it does is that you allow it to execute. So this is how it works. But then there are some bad ones. So what happens is that when you send the hash file, all right, and then to the cloud database, and from there you will check if, let's say, it's bad, you will return back the value, and the agent will actually block the file from executing. This is how it works. The other feature that I want to share with you is actually on the behavioral protection. All right. So let's say, because there are unknown files, right? So let's say you have an unknown file here, all right, and installed in the PC or the computer, all right. And what happens? You check with the hash file and check from the database. It looks like from the database perspective, it's unknown, right? So it's not known to Webroot yet. So what it does is actually it allows it to execute and then monitors its behavior, right? So you will see if the behavior of the file, does it look similar to any virus or any malware attacks, right? So basically it will check this with the database. If the database comes back, yes, they know that, oh, the way it behaves like a very suspicious Trojan or virus and so on, you will actually block it so the file will not run. The other feature I would like to share with you is that it's a multi-vector protection. As you can see over here, with multiple stages, you are able to stop threat before it actually succeeds, right? Stages from your email browsers, your external thumb drive, and so on, until through phishing attacks, keyloggers, all right, and then later on, and so on, right? So there's many layers here we are saying on that. The other part is that it's also able to allow you to verify sites which is safe, right, before visiting them. So in this typical example here, basically I do a search on some, in this case it's testing, so I just search the website on testing, and it gives me, if you realize there's a green tick at the search part there, right? So when you hover your mouse over there, it will actually tells you like, oh, this site is trustworthy or not, right? So if it's not trustworthy, you will get something like this. You'll get a message over here to tell you that this file contains, this website, it contains some suspicious, and it might not be safe for you, right? The other one is on the global site manager. So this is the Webroot main console, right? So as you can see over here, the first feature I want to share with you, this is a fully cloud managed. Again, as this now one of the features I mentioned, you do not need a hardware or software and basically to configure and to manage your policy or your endpoint. So this is all fully cloud-based. Just you open a web browser and you are able to access it. The second feature is centralized hierarchical management. So this is a highly automated management, and reporting simplifies monitoring and manage of different departments or even different geographical sites. Right, the next feature is on the global policies and overrides. So it can make it simple for any super administrator to create policies and override at the global site level. Right. The last one is refined navigation. So this is flexible when looking to identify and manage individual or groups of endpoints. The best part is this solution actually integrates with the Kaseya VSA solution. As some of you all may know, we distribute Kaseya solution, and VSA is one of our solutions. So it can Webroot can integrate into Kaseya VSA. Just give you some statistics on the Webroot solution, right? So if you see, this has been benchmarked by Passmark software, and from this is actually showing you the benchmark across 8 competitors in terms of performance of the solution, right? So you can see Webroot actually outperforms and leading in this area. Okay. Now, some of you all may have customer that has still running on Windows XP, right? This solution can actually cater for that, right? So you can see we support from Windows XP onwards, even OS Mac OS 10.9 Maverick. Yeah, we do support that. For servers, you're looking at Windows Servers 2003 onwards. Right, we do support that. Right. So the best part here is that there's a free trial, and you can subscribe it. This is the link over here. But usually, a trial usually gives you about 30 days. But now, what we're going to do is actually we are extending it to 60 days. So you can use this for 60 days, right? I think this is good, especially in this period. A lot of people work from home. It's the best time to ensure your organizations are all protected from that perspective. The next one is, okay, now I'll transfer the time for the demo session. I'll pass this time to my colleague, Aaron. He will actually show you the demo of the Webroot solution, all right? So without further ado, let me just stop this sharing and pass the time to Aaron. All right, Aaron?
Thanks for the introduction. Thank you very much for the great presentation of Webroot. And yes, now it's my turn to do the technical session. So just an introduction of myself. I'm Aaron, the technical, one of the technical engineer in Integricity, which specialize in Kaseya, VSA, Webroot, Nutrends, and other tools. So today we're just going to go through about Webroot interface. I'm going to show you guys about the integration as well with Kaseya VSA. So first, let me share my screen so that I can show you guys our, Webroot. And yes, so as you can see here, this is the Webroot console. So the Webroot console is really, the main purpose is to be centralized so that you can really manage a lot of endpoints to one centralized location. So the difference is that imagine you are managing like individual endpoint. You need to remote in and check for the status, whether is it up to date or not. Whereby in the console, everything is accessible through one place. So if you have 500 machine, 1,000 machine, just go ahead. You can manage everything through this security console, which give you insight to things like versions, infections, and some other intelligent data as well. So over here, I have something called the sites. So the sites, the main thing about site is that it allows you to separate based on, so let's say if you are managing, let's say 50 client. So if you want to know like 50 client individually, what are they, what's happening around them, you can create something like sites. So for example, at this place, I have 2 sites. So if you have 50 clients, you can create 50 sites to manage them differently. So once I have the sites, I'm going to drill into, let's say this is the demo site. Let's assume this is customer A. Okay, so currently I haven't been signed out, and let me sign back in. So if I sign in, Webroot have something called a 2FA as well. So it's to help you to add additional layer of security to your login. So it supports both Google Authenticator and at the same time Microsoft Authenticator. So let me open up my Authenticator and key in the code. I'm going to search for that Webroot, okay, which is here. Yeah. So with this 2FA, it's secure access, so that just to prove yourself that you are the one that's logging into, in fact, the sites. Let me click on this. And inside here, we are able to manage the endpoint with different instructions, such as policy, management, group management. So let's say you have a site and you go into group management. So this group management allows you to further drill down to, for instance, finance, accounts, so that you can apply the group policy according to the endpoint. So over here, I have one endpoint, so which is Droidica. By default, the policy will do a scan every day. So just to let you guys know that the scan, it's pretty much quick. So one thing we want to tell you guys that Webroot does a very good job in scanning the entire computer. So over here I have 3 hard drives. So I'm just going to do a scan. This is a full scan, by the way. It roughly take each about at most 3 minutes. If not, all the other deep scan are pretty much very fast. So that's what's different about us, Webroot, that we do this scan very fast and we utilize very little resources. So we don't. So sometimes when antivirus do a full scan, it will utilize the entire resources and cause the computer slow. Whereby Webroot, it does really a good job maintaining the resources while doing a full scan. Yeah. So with this one, you can even further configure something called policies. Now, the thing about Webroot is that we have something called the silent audit policies. So the silent audit policies is to help you onboard client. So what the silent audit means. Now, when you first install antivirus on a machine, you do not want the antivirus to straight away kill all the application, because sometimes we have in-house built software that are not signature signed. The antivirus could identify that as a threat and quarantine it straight away or delete the file. So that might cause a bigger issue if you are running on the server and it remove a lot of critical components that are not signed yet. So in Webroot, we give you the option to do a silent audit on installation. What does it do is that it will install on the machine, run the scan. However, it will not take any action at all. It will instead report it to you, like say, hey, I detected this as the virus. Do you want to, quarantine it or remove it? So it essentially installs something in the background. However, it will not take any action. It will report to you straight to tell you that, okay, you can see through here if it's anything like need attention, so that what you can do with that is that you can go to the override and create a whitelist of the file. So for instance, if ubs.exe, you know that file, it's a proper file, it's a working file. It's just that it's labeled as not a safe file because it's not digitally signed yet, and so on. So you can create a whitelist first and say, you know what, I want to whitelist this file by either the path or by MD5 hash. So put it by path, like let's say right name is UBS and the location ubs.exe, which you need to put in the full location, then create yes. So once you save it, the override of the list, then you can switch the policy back to a normal policy, which will start to take action. So when you switch the policy and you have the override in place, it will, it will not remove that specific software that you have just override. So that's the meaning of silent audit. Yeah. So in group management, or you also can see like the version. Now, this version are usually automatically up to date, and the best part is that they don't download the entire signature file like as large as 250 MB and all. So it uses hash file method. So that is to when the Webroot have a cloud system that constantly monitor any threads, and then if there's any new threads, they will update to the hash file and then push it to the endpoint. It's probably around 100 kilobyte or less than that. And then the Webroot will start to collect the data and run the scan. Yeah. So then the policy allows us to customize further. Like for instance, in this Webroot console on the endpoint, I can freely configure anything I want. However, you have the option to set a restriction policy that if I were to set on a workstation policy, the end user would not be able to uncheck all these things. So meaning it's like a lockdown, a Webroot agent lockdown that prevents user from switching any settings or exit the Webroot. The thing will just be there forever to protect. So that's the best part about Webroot policies. Yep. So the installer itself is also very light. So I'm going to click Windows download. It's around a few megabytes, which are 4.6 megabytes. And the installation is pretty much very fast. So it's the main thing about Webroot is lightweight, light scan, and consume less resources. Then you can have the logs, and you can generate logs, generate reports to see what are the infection site. Usually these are all threat scenes. Select a time period. Let me select all the way back to December 1st until today. So which is, let's say, June 8th. So it will show me list of infection that I have in this moment. That particular machine has not touched for a long time, so there's no threat. So this report allows you to create a report and see like, okay, so far in this month, how many endpoint has encountered any threat, so that you can start to take action for the specific client. Now, the next thing I want to show you guys is the integration between Kaseya VSA. The main purpose of integration between Kaseya VSA is to facilitate the installation of the agent. So meaning is that if, let's say, you have Kaseya agent installed, instead of manually installing Webroot installer one by one, you just integrate it with your Kaseya VSA module, and you select all the machine and say install. So the purpose of this is to help you to minimize the need of remoting in each of the machine manually and install it one by one. Rather, you just push it through Kaseya VSA. Yeah. So that's really overall of the Webroot demo. So now I shall pass the time to Johnny. So then if you guys have any questions, please list them down in the chat box and we'll try our best to answer. thank you guys for your attention, and thank you guys for coming.
All right, thanks Aaron for the interesting demo session. I hope with the session you are able to learn and see how it works and how simple and quick the solution is, all right? So maybe I just share you again the slides because I see there's some questions asking on the trial or the free access period, right? So let me share with you again. So this is where you can access the business endpoint protection for 60 days. You can follow this link. In fact, my colleague has also placed it in the chat box as well, so you can see. So if you have any question, you can ask me over there.